Bag, I want the bag. Work my way from a garden to a track. Flip it from a track to a plot full of acres. Do it for the farmers and producers and the makers. What we even here for? Occasionally I ask it. I know it's more than struggling, anticipating the casket. Reap what we sow, I'm trying to fill up my basket. Life's a plantation, I self-law and master. Over the plot I've been granted on this planet. Now it's slanted, cause the chosen been supplanted. But if you overstand it, it was spoken. Fractured, but we ain't broken. Even though some would rather play the role of token, we growing. Black through the essence of a presence. We carry the blood of gods, we carry the mind of peasants. Rich black gardens, future look more like Eden. Multiply seeds like the seed banks in Sweden. Rep my planners on plan according to season. B1 code, switching it up is treason. Black power, family what we eat. Either we get fed or we feed. B1AG.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that may otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. What is growing on? What is growing on? What is growing on? Welcome back to B1AG. I'm John Henry Harris. We also have Farmer Brown, the MC. Here at B1AG, we focus on agriculture as it pertains to agricultural production, health, food, nutrition, marketing, and economics, all for the Black family and for the Black community. Welcome back. Now, today we're going to talk about charity. Now, the term Good Samaritan is a common metaphor when applying to a charitable person, you know, being a helping hand or a humanitarian. Actually, philanthropy is one of the most human things that we can do. You know, just being human, helping others. However, when charity is based in good intent, it is a wonderful thing. But when it's introduced in a dynamic of power, the ones receiving the charity often become subjugated by the sponsors. Now, here today at B1AG, we're going to discuss this power dynamic from the aspect of our community when you also add food security and our greatest underserved resource, which is the Black farmer. So today, Pfizer, they are the most charitable company. He who feeds you leads you. I'm going to need you to really put on your thinking caps today. Open your eyes, open your ears, open your hearts. And this is going to be a great discussion. And hopefully, you know, I really want y'all to comment and I want y'all to participate in this discussion because this is a very heartfelt discussion, but it's also outside of our heart. Hey, we got to have our thinking caps on too. So like, share, 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 like, share. Let's push the algorithm. We all know how this works. You know, it's an algorithm driven world. Let's like, share, 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 share. And if you feel it, hey, go ahead and comment. Hey, thank you. We appreciate it. Best podcast intro in the game. B1AG. You heard that? So Pfizer, they're the most charitable company. He who feeds you leads you. So let's go ahead and jump into it, Farmer Brown.
First, I'd just like to say peace to the B1 family. Hope everybody's doing well. The top 5, he who feeds you leads you. And so this, you know, we've been doing our research, preparing for this discussion today. The top 5 charitable companies in North America are Google, number 5, algorithms, stories, narratives, censorship, Walmart, products, grocery in many areas where the melanated family resides, Merck and Company, Merck, you know, they've developed certain treatments, Gilead Sciences, number 2, and number 1 is Pfizer. So here today at B1AG, we're not here to throw shade. We're not here to delve in conjecture or conspiracy theory. We're looking at the numbers. When we think of philanthropic giving, and so according to Giving USA 2021, in a year of unprecedented events and challenges, charitable giving reached a record $471 billion in 2020. $471 billion in 2020. These are these companies, these are individuals, these are organizations that I would assume the majority do have altruistic reasons behind their contributions. We think about what rocked summer 2020, the George Floyd riots, Breonna Taylor. There were organizations, BLM, that received millions, hundreds of millions of dollars of people who, were watching these news stories go across their screen, and they say, I want to give something. Oh my God, this is just so horrible. I want to give. And so all of these efforts, it was about $471 billion. That's a relatively huge bag. One of the things that started this whole B1AG conversation, specifically around Black agriculture and Black farmers, was the beginning of this year. It had reached a point with the USDA that, okay, these Black farmers are severely underrepresented and underfunded when it comes to subsidies. And so subsidies and charity, they're kind of two different things, because subsidies, especially when you're talking about government, those are taxpayer dollars. Charity, that comes directly from the charitable person. So saying that to say, we're going to jump into these. We're going to use the spirit of discernment today as we have this conversation, and just try to lay out a formidable visual blueprint of where we're at right now as a melanated family. We're going to point out some of the real statistics and what are some of the solutions.
Now, when it comes to our community, we're gonna get some things straight today. Now, this comes from the Washington Post. Black Americans donate a higher share of their wealth than whites, despite lower net worth. They have a culture of being charitable with their giving. They are philanthropists investing in their communities. And Black donors don't just give to the church. Their largest, their generosity falls into 3 categories, according to the Washington Post. Cornerstone, given to higher education and the arts. 2, kinship, donating to organizations serving the Black community. And 3, sanctified, supporting Black churches. Now, when we do see the media as the way we're portrayed, we have, even though we give a larger share of our wealth to charities than any other racial group in America, the stereotype of Black Americans is that we're takers, and then that overall haunting image of our women being welfare queens. But we give the most. But here at B1AG, we like to keep our focus in agriculture, and we're looking at our Black farmers. Our Black farmers are the most underserved resource. They are a resource within our community, but they're very underserved. And we did to show you this, Farmer Brown made a great infographic talking about these subsidies. Because again, in March, they were approved just to get debt relief. And white farmers sued and stalled the process to where we could not even get that debt relief. But these subsidies that the Black farmers have been routinely locked out of and not been able to participate in, we're going to show you exactly how much money we're talking about. While they're stalling debt relief for Black farmers, those white farmers' pockets are overflowing, and it's pretty eye-opening. This infographic, go ahead and describe this infographic, Farmer Brown.
So let's break this down with numbers. I'm not a mathematician. I'm actually horrible at math, but when it comes to dollars in cents and digits, okay, we make sense. I want to preface, so right now in 2021, what we call Black, Aboriginal, melanated, African-American farmers represent 1.4% of more than 2 million farmers in North America. What we call white farmers represent 95. The highest peak of representation in the agricultural sector of what we call African Americans was in the 1920s. It was in the 1920s. At that time, Black farmers represented 14 to 15% of the farmers in North America. When we think about that time, what was going on? Black Wall Street, Tulsa, all the Black towns, when we think about the Southeast. And so over this time of civil rights, over this time of affirmative action, over this time of all of this charitable giving to y'all poor, lowly Negroes that just can't pull yourselves up by the bootstraps, we've gone from 15% to 1%. And one could be like, oh, how did that happen? These great migrations we speak of. We're going to fast forward to 2002 because it was actually the 1960s, and I don't have this on this infographic, but it was the 1960s when it drastically dropped. What do we know happened in the 1960s? It was civil rights, that fight to be integrated. And so we're going to fast forward to 2002. 2002 is when our representation went down to 2%. And so when it comes to subsidies, and once again, this isn't charity. This isn't, hey, I'm just going to help y'all poor, lowly people. These are taxpayer funds used to subsidize food producers. And so on one end, a lot of times we get caught in these dynamics where it seems like you're shading somebody. It seems like you're disparaging somebody because, like bruh said, a lot of times we like to say, oh, the Black woman's welfare queen. Like, no, I'm a part of a community that has been disparaged. Many of the men have been taken out of the home. Many of the jobs where most melanated men that I know would much rather go to work and earn an honest dollar than wait on the government to send it. And so when we apply that concept to farm subsidies, and so these are producers, farms need money to operate. It's easy for us behind this screen to say, oh, yeah, just go out and get a tractor, get some seeds, till up the ground and go to work, grow to work. But it's not that simple. Every operation on a farm costs money, from your seed to your land prep to your soil prep, water sources. You have to pay for labor. And so this is what these subsidies represent. And what we know in North America, and this is generally speaking on average, 40% of the majority, 40% of farm operations are subsidized, meaning the federal government came in, used these taxpayer dollars to subsidize these operations. It's needed because we all need to eat. What'd you say, 320 million of us here in North America, Turtle Island? So everybody needs to eat. And so this food that's not being exported does need to be produced by farmers. And so I'm not in disagreement with the need for subsidies. But when we look how this breaks down, so 2002, and I want my numbers people to put this in perspective. In 2002, Black farmers got 21.2 million in subsidies. In that same year, white farmers got 8.9 billion. 8.9 billion. In 2017, 5 years later, Black farmers got 38 million in subsidies. White farmers, 10.6 billion. Fast forward to 2012. Obama had been in office for a while. This is during the this is when Pickford versus Glickman was reintroduced. Black farmers got 64 million. White farmers, once again, got 8.1 billion. And not to digress too much, but, once again, Pickford and Glickman, and I know the people in the ag community understand the importance of that case. That was when the federal government said, you know what, we've been doing these Black folks wrong. We've been doing these Black folks wrong. So let's put some money aside and, reciprocate some of these farmers we've been doing wrong. As we're sitting in 2021, the Monday morning critic of how this played out, of only 14,000 Black farmers who qualified, or farm families who qualified, it was a little over 700. It was about 726 farmers actually got something out of the Pickford and Glickman case to date. And we know there was more than 14,000 farmers. But saying that to say, this is, when you're dealing with an entity that plays the long game, okay, I got 64 million in subsidies in 2012. Okay, we're making progress. That pales when, you know, the people or the other factions who are getting the majority of it are still increasing. 2017, 59.4 million. White farmers, 9.7. And so most recently, like I said, this is what brought the whole B1AG conversation, COVID relief. And this is from President Trump of the COVID relief. And this was billions of dollars allocated because farmers took a huge hit during the initial phase of the virus. Once again, it went into labor, it went into your shipping, it went into storage, all sorts of dynamics within running a successful ag operation. Black farmers got 0.1%, not 1%, not 10%, 0.1%. And this is in 2020. Everybody's woke. You know, this black man lost his life on camera. This black woman got shot in her home. So everybody's woke, everybody's charitable. But at the end of it, what they say, follow the money. The money said, okay, I'm going to give y'all black farmers 0.1%. I know your operational needs are just as important as green, purple, yellow, whatever color group, but your group is going to get 0.1%. White farmers got 97%, not 9.7, not 19, 97% of the funds allocated to help those in need. What does Nellie Fuller say? We should strive to be a universal man and woman. Give those that need the most help, the most constructive help. And we see the group. It's a damn shame, fam. It's a damn shame. And the sad part about it is we're not making these numbers up. We didn't just pull them out of the thin air. These numbers are available to the public. But what happens is we'll get these aesthetics. We'll get these news stories that say, you know, in March, oh, black farmers are finally going to get some help. And the fine details, it says, I'm not really going to give you none of these subsidies. I'm going to just give a couple of thousand of you debt relief. Meaning, okay, I put you into these predatory loan situations, but some of you, I'll forgive it. This has long implications. We have another infographic, if you can pull that up, about black land ownership. Because, you know, here at B1AG, we don't like to deal in conjecture. We like to deal in specifics. We think about land ownership. Everybody that owns land isn't necessarily farming. But when we're talking about food security, we know that it is necessary to have land. And so this is putting it in color. This is the U.S. population, if you can see this. This is the U.S. population, what it looks like. If you was to just paint it with colors, the color at the top that will represent who claims to be white, you know, color of law. The second one will be your Hispanic, and then the melanated family, we're the third one down. And so that's our representation. You know, this is according to the U.S. Census in North America. Now go to the land ownership. Keep this image in your mind, fam. Seeing is believing. Now go to land ownership. We're said to be 13%, 14% of the population. You know, we know there's some tricky numbers going along with this. But when it comes to land ownership, a group that represents 13 to 14, possibly more percent, owns less than 1% of the land. Owns less than 1% of the land. Pull the land ownership up. You don't have to be a great mathematician to understand the imbalance. You know, we operate in a planet that the Most High didn't make things in balance. Everything was created in balance. And so every time we deviate away from that perfect balance, it creates these economic ailments. It creates these physical ailments. It creates these social ailments. It creates everything that we've seen culminate into 2021 right now. And when we have this conversation about charity, like I said, while he's pulling this infographic up, we see the top 5 charitable donors, and I put air quotes around charitable, was Google, Walmart, Merck & Company, Gilead Sciences, and Pfizer. When we talk about these power dynamics, money talks. We know the people in DC that are, you know, they're exempt from the appointment with Dr. Jabinski. We know that they're probably a lot more moved by what Pfizer says or Gilead Sciences or Merck than the melanated black community who's split up over, you know, who does what in their bedroom, you know, who likes this team over that team, who's repping this color versus that color, this block versus that block. How do you refer to the Most High versus, we're very divided. We're very divided people. And at the same time, like bro was saying earlier, we give the most. It is our nature to give. This biblical concept of Good Samaritan, that is our natural nature. Before there was a such thing as media and programming, it was in our nature to give of ourselves. It was in our nature. Okay, I see somebody that needs some help, give it. Here at B1AG, like I said, the majority of farmers I know don't want just help. Don't just give me something. Shop with me. Shop with me. We know this pandemic, it revealed a lot of food insecurities. And so we know the Black community, and I say the word Black loosely, experienced food insecurity 24% more than every other group. This was in 2020. And so we see what's coming down the pipeline in 2021. We know that 65% of the Black population works for the federal government or some form of government, whether it's federal, state, or local. 65%. We know 70% of the melanated community said they didn't want to get an appointment with Dr. Jabinski. And so that equates to a lot of people who are, here in the next few months, where we get 75 days and counting, may not have jobs. And so, past the economic piece of it, this is going to directly affect food security. We also know, once again, we're charitable people. We give, even though we bring in the least amount per household, we give. And so it's my conjecture, it's my, personal ask, what can we do as a community to support at least the people who are producing the food? There are so many other areas of human activity that we need to cover as to not be subject to whoever's being charitable to us. But what can we do as a melanated family to support these farmers who we see are not going to get help from the federal government? They're not going to get help from the subsidies. It is a handful, and it is great. It is a success for those who have been able to access these funds. I can tell you professionally, if you want to go through some bureaucratic red tape, try to get some sort of help from the government. It's there. It exists. The money isn't just in limbo, but it's like all of these extra steps. All of these, you got to know the right people. You got to understand legalese. You got to understand the right words. We don't have a lot of melanated people going into environmental justice, environmental law. We don't have a lot of melanated students when they go to school going in specifically, I'm going to learn the law around agriculture, heirs property, land procurement. Because these are some of the things that affect our inability to why we're less than 1% of landowners. It isn't because melanated people don't have the money. It isn't because melanated people don't have the understanding on how to make land profitable. The devil is in the details of everything. It's my contention that it boils down to we can't expect from other people what we're not willing to give to ourselves. When I say ourselves, I mean our producers. Our producers who have been able to keep that land when it dropped from 15% ownership to 1.4. How can we support them?
We need to support our Black farmers. At the end of the day, we see these new mandates that are coming. They're trying to lock us out of the workforce. They literally could come down to saying that we can't go into a grocery store to buy food. So we need to make sure that we have our own formidable food system and network set up to ensure our food security, to make sure that we all have a place at the dinner table, to make sure that we all have access to food. It's getting that serious. If you're not paying attention, just look at your news. It is getting serious out here. They are literally trying to divide, separate, and deny access at a level unseen not in our lifetimes. So we need to make sure that we stay ahead of the curve, ahead of the game, and support our Black farmers, support Black agriculture, and also increase our participation in agriculture, as agriculture is the foundation of any people, any nation, any form of life. You got to be able to eat.
You know, let me say this. I don't speak for anybody but myself. I can't, you know, I don't have the liberty to promote anybody. But some of the resources we talk about on here is just some of the content creators we follow. Using Pastor Dow, for example. And so he's a minister, I want to say, in Tennessee somewhere. He represents a model. He has a homestead, you know, amongst, you know, his congregation. You know, I haven't talked to the man. I don't know him personally. But his model is one that I think we definitely need to explore. And so they have a homestead. They grow their own food. They've congregated different people with different skill sets, carpenters, builders, and they've come together with the homestead. When we talk about this land ownership, okay, family, we see that large swaths of the melanated community are getting priced out of their communities right now through what we call gentrification. Where are you going to go? The Walmart, we saw that Walmart, and you know, for the conspiracy theorists on here, okay, we've heard what some of these Walmart facilities can be used as. Some people call them concentration camps, holding facilities. Hey, if you're in this community and you ain't got nowhere to go, you've been priced out, you've been kicked out, your assistants have gone up, come here to this safe place with these fences around it. Maybe it's a conspiracy theory, maybe it's real. But the thing is, being ready, just, you know, stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Can we protect the farmers who already do have land? Like I said, kind of modeling it off of Pastor Dow's model with his congregation. Does this mean everybody in the hood is just going to go gather in one farm? You know, somebody out in rural Illinois, rural South Carolina, North Carolina, that's not what I'm a proponent of. But hey, if I'm a landowner, I'm probably a lot more likely to at least entertain the thought of putting up some shipping container homes, you know, some of these tiny houses, you know, a network of trailers on my property if these people have spent some money with me. Because what we know about melanated people, we will spend money. You know, a couple of Birkin bags, a couple of Louis bags, a couple of shoes, a couple of red bottoms, that's a trailer. You know, these are a couple of acres where we can produce food. Okay, maybe I'm in a situation where I'm not able to really earn like I was. Sweat equity, because another stat, I don't know if you pulled it up, Black people volunteer 90% more than every other group. I thought that was very interesting. We volunteer. When you think about these loving charitable organizations that come around the hood and want to help us poor lowly people, we volunteer 90% more than every other group. Volunteer meaning, okay, we didn't get paid for this. We just gave our time, effort, and energy. And so it's my contention, for the sake of this conversation, can we get a critical mass of us to give this same energy, volunteer this same energy to some of these farmers who we know aren't getting help? Because labor is a big part of running a successful farm operation. We see that with these lockdowns, there's some people getting sick. This directly ties into the food distribution network. This directly ties to, okay, do I have enough truck drivers? Do I have enough people out in the fields harvesting? Do I have enough people out, you know, working some of the equipment, you know, working with my animals? Absolutely. Volunteer more and save more. These are very practical solutions. It's not no such thing as one solution is going to cure everything, but we got to be very specific, family. Our food security is in the hands of these philanthropic organizations. And what we didn't put on here is Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. That isn't a company. That's just a straight philanthropic foundation. But we've seen over the last year how much influence Mr. Gates has when it comes to, you know, what's the direction to take this country. We also know Mr. Gates has 240,000 acres of land by himself, along with Bezos, a couple 100,000. Along with Ted Turner, a couple 100,000. I hope the family's getting the picture. They say follow the money. And sometimes if that money leads you down a dark path, do you want to keep following or do you want to create your own? Every single one of them. I think what's understood doesn't need to be explained. You know, my thing is, I hope the family, because, you know, nobody can come to your house and tell you what priorities should be. I know I'm not going to let nobody come to my house and say, hey, this is what you should do and this is how you should think. The purpose of this B1AG conversation is to try to put these dynamics in perspective specifically around Black farmers, Black agriculture, Black food production. Are there social issues we have opinions about? Absolutely. But I'm not a social scientist. Building computers, exactly. And okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I don't want to digress too far away. One of the ways he understood how to get a bag is creating those VIRUSUS iris bays, Ekingspe and Igpe Attenlay. He made a lot of money creating the iris bays that affected the computers that he built. Now, what can I do? Oh, I can sell you the solution. Nobody throws away a good idea that's profitable. Nobody. Oh, say if I can get a considerable percentage of equal pay, especially these melanated people, just like in Africa and what we call North America, to take this ABJ, that's a whole nother bag. I create the problem, I sell you the solution. You know, if we're just thinking specifically capitalistic minded, it's a perfect model. But once again, we fall as, the person getting all this love and help. I Igpe Attenlay Erebe Uently play. SJ in case the algorithms unaway ekche upway earway ang say. Day. To me, not to be so negative, this is a great opportunity if the melanated family can just contextualize what's going on in the moment that we find ourselves in right now. We know the help isn't coming. We know we're a part of the group that's going to get the least amount of help, and we know we're the group that's going to be the most affected when it comes to our food security. And so it's like, how much do you have to beat somebody over the head to say, hey, this is pretty important? When we think about the things that we're educating our youth about, when we think about, how do we get the men in our communities involved in something that's going to give us a voice within our community? I was looking at an article the other day. They're saying Black men are going to be the most affected by AI. More than 40% of the jobs that Black men have right now in North America are directly replaceable by robots. Just here in Kentucky. And so somebody was telling me on campus, they already got the robot delivery robots. Remember, we had reported about that a few months ago. They're on campus now, bro. I think Dr. Boyce said it, economic apartheid, medical apartheid. We're in the midst of it. But this is our grand opportunity and grand excuse to do something about it.
Now, I want y'all to also pay attention now, like we talk about the Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation, Pfizer. These companies are also becoming more invasive in determining what we must do. They're dictating what our lives should and will be. But they're charitable. They're concerned about our health. They're concerned about our safety. They're being so good Samaritans. Family, let's be good Samaritans to ourselves. Let's be good Samaritans to our families. Let's be good Samaritans to our communities. We already are, but let's codify and intensify our efforts towards a common goal. And this isn't the only goal that B1AG suggests, but it is one of the most pressing goals that we must codify and intensify our efforts, and that is in food security. We are 4 times likely to live in a food desert as opposed to our counterparts. We already are in a position where we have to spend more time, effort, energy just to get food. And the food that is readily available to us is low quality. And we must fix this, because this low quality food is what is one of the greatest contributors to these pre-existing conditions. We got to get our health up. We got to get our immune systems up. Whether you're talking about keeping safe from what's going around now, the RSV. Even outside of that, health is important. Health is wealth. So we must keep alive. We must stay alive. And the first defense in being healthy is what we put in our bodies, and also being able to consistently procure good food consistently. Like, we got to be able to, we have to reinsert ourselves back into the agricultural space, period.
So real quick before we get off here, I hope the family can put this in perspective. And so the 10 most charitable states, it's what we call the southeast of Turtle Island. So the 10 most charitable states, not only are these the places with the most food insecurity, these happen to be the places where the majority of melanated family are condensed. Even if you're in New York, Chicago, LA, a lot of our ancestors came from this region. The most charitable people live in Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and North Carolina. This is where the most charitable people live, yet this is where the most poverty exists. This is where the majority of Black farmers exist. And this is where the most food insecurity exists within the melanated community. And this is where the most charity is. These are where the most charitable people are. I really don't know how to break that down, but is it the more charity you get, the more disparaged you're going to be? I think these are some things to think about, family.
It's a great topic today. I hope y'all go back and rewatch and really look at how much money that they have and have not given to our Black farmers, which contribute to the overall food security of not only Black people and melanated people, but to the entire country. Right now, our West Coast is being decimated by drought and wildfires. We need our Black farmers. It's a necessity for our Black farmers to produce more now, more than ever, because farmers overall out West can't farm at all. So we need this food for everybody. Everybody. This goes beyond color now. It's like the problem is so large, it's like it goes beyond even color. We are really not just, our community most secure, but food security for our entire country is at risk. And the reason why we're so passionate about that is because our communities, our zip codes, we're the ones that are going to feel it first and worst. So we need to get these seeds in the ground. We need to make sure that our farmers get to produce it, not just for us, but for everybody. And when we talk about food, that's hand in hand is with water. We've done great stories about Moses West and his atmospheric water generator, how he can produce water out of the air. Because air is water. The same chemical, the same chemical makeup as water. Water is in air. Also, Paula McCarthy, single Black mother. She did not just only own her own water company, she owns her own water source. She had enough forethought not to only just say, I'm going to have my own water bottling company, I'm also going to buy the water source. Secure water. You can't farm or grow food without water. That goes hand in hand. So when I say food, when we talk about food, think about water too.
You got that infographic of Black growers, preppers, and organizations. So once again, family, there's no such thing as a one-shot, cures-all approach. But if you're if you're stoked, if you've been charged, you want to reach out to some Black farmers. And so you can go on Facebook. There's some nice groups. tens of thousands of people, Bread and Butter Farms, Sun Joint Hemp Group, Black Outdoorsman. And so Black Outdoorsman is turned up. And, you know, not just reaching out. So don't, you know, we don't want to get you in crisis mode. Sometimes just seeing positive imagery of melanated people engaged in the outdoors, you know, melanated people having a good time outdoors, it does wonders for just stoking our innovation, you know, stoking motivation. Black-owned farms, Federation of Southern Cooperatives, Black Ag Entrepreneurs of America, National Black Food and Justice Alliance, Black Farmers Nationwide, Black Farmers and Agricultural Association, Detroit Black Community Food Security Network. If you're on Instagram, Black Farmers Network, Black Farms and Homesteads, National Black Farmers Association. If you're on YouTube, got a couple of minutes just to kind of get some ideas of what some cool operations look like. What are some growing operations you can apply at your house? Homestead Heart, Lead Farmer 73, Garden with Goo, the Ron Finley Project, and like I said, Pastor Dow. We also do have our Healthy Black Food at healthyblackfood.com on the Black Business School. That's a full curriculum going over the very specific details of some things you need to have in mind when starting your first garden. And we encourage you to go to healthyblackfood.com. And then some other websites to check out. So shopblack.us. They have one of the largest databases of Black farmers, I think, represented in the majority of the states. I know melanated farmers ain't in all 50, but that's a great place to start. Yes. bffarmershub.com, saafon.com. That's saafon.com. And then betterbuggy.com. So you can actually get CSA shares. Like we say here at B1AG, Black farmers don't need charity. They need patronage. Black farmers need us to shop with them. I need you to get a CSA share from me. I need you to pay at least half of it up front. If you have the means, pay up front, you know, early in the spring, late in the winter, so I can supply you for the rest of the spring and summer. You see this as a group that's not getting help from the top. And so as a melanated community that 100% of us have to eat, you know, we got to take it upon ourselves to find these individuals who are producing these food. And there are resources. You know, once you plant one tomato seed, you know, you take care of it good, you'll have a harvest of dozens of tomatoes. This same concept applies when we talk about Black farmers. You plant that seed of actively seeking some Black farmers, seeking like-minded individuals. Because I'll just tell you, family, everybody ain't with it. Everybody ain't with it. And here at B1AG, we like to be practical. You know, our goal isn't to get everybody to just agree and think, okay, yeah, we're all going to become green thumbs and support Black farmers. That's not realistic. Unfortunately, we've been cultivated in a culture that's not supportive. But it is a part of our genetics to be charitable. It is a part of our genetics to look out for one another. And so if we can stoke the interest, if we can contextualize to a critical mass of us that understand the gravity of the moment we're in, we can address this issue without charity, without empowering those who feed us. Because what we see, just like companies like Pfizer, if I feed you, then I'll lead you.
He who feeds you leads you. Our farmers, they are put here to feed us. That is their mission. That is their life purpose. Let's spend with them. We spend a lot of money on fast food and things like that. I mean, 84.8 million people eat fast food every day. Let's shift some of that spending power to our farmers. And our Black farmers need help the most, but I'm taking color out of it at this moment. Just let's spend this money directly with our farmers, because at the end of the day, these little businesses and a lot of businesses over the last 2 years have been shutting up and closing and not reopening. Let's not do that with the producers of our food for real. Shutting up and closing. let's not shut our farmers out. Let's not close our farmers out, because that definitely puts us in the hands of our charitable sponsors like Pfizer, Bill Gates and Melinda Gates Foundation. We already know what they want to do with us.
And to answer the brother's question, so a CSA is a community-supported agriculture. Basically, the way that works is you'll pay a farmer up front. Some farmers will do it monthly. Many farmers, just to, get your business will give you a one-time deal, but you basically pay up front, sometimes half, sometimes the full amount, and you'll get the produce directly delivered to your door. There's a lot of farmers that do this with meat and dairy as well. But basically, the simple concept of community-supported agriculture is just you pay the farmer up front, and maybe every 2 weeks, depending on how you want to get it. Some people you can go to the farm and pick it up yourself. But when we're talking about logistics of these condensed areas, this is a perfect opportunity for a farmer to bring it to you. You might have a pickup point. So here at Kentucky, we have Black Soil KY. We have a building where the consumer can come pick it up. The farmers from the rural area come and bring it in, and there's subscriptions. And so that's basically what a CSA share is, which was innovated by a melanated man by Booker T. Watley.
And which is also CSA, Community Supported Agriculture, which is also an appendage of helping us become more food secure. We're used to buying stuff online, like now, we got Amazon, even the grocery stores are delivering to your homes, even the fast food with the DoorDash and things like that. It's the same concept. Before there was a DoorDash, there was community supported agriculture. Before there was an Amazon, there was community supported agriculture. And we need to shop with our farmers, spend money with our farmers. They're the ones with the real food. We just did a story yesterday about Burger King, and they're committing themselves to getting back to real food. So they banned 120 artificial ingredients. But look for how long they've been feeding us this crap. And they're just now making a commitment to feeding us real food. Come on, y'all. Let's support our farmers. Let's support ourselves. He who feeds us leads us. Got any last words, bro?
For bro, so if you want to see what one looks like, go to betterbuggy.com. And so that's one of the most, I would say, advanced CSA models that I've seen. They literally have it set up to where they can deliver across the country. And I think it'll give you a much better, idea of what a CSA works like. Like I said, sometimes you can make a one-time order, just to test it out, or you can actually get a subscription. I remember back in the day, we used to get East Bays, and so we get subscription,
yes.
Source Magazine. It's the same way with food. When we talk about, okay, how are we going to supplement some of these jobs for those of us that aren't exempt from the appointment with Dr. Jabinski, it's really, codifying, like, what does this food distribution network look like? How can we make sure that, these farmers aren't out here struggling, trying to avoid the middleman like a plague? Absolutely. So consumer, reach the farmer. And this is how we achieve that. Because these middlemen turn out to be these charitable factions that want to help everybody for a 30%, 40%, 50% fee. And so this is why it's upon us to reach out to these farmers.
It's been a great discussion, y'all. I'm very happy for all the participation. The Grand Negus, Daxton Waters, y'all participate and contribute a lot. And we appreciate that. Rhonda Moffitt, we definitely want to talk to you. We want to get you on the show because Rhonda Moffitt is another watcher of B1AG, but she refers to her backyard as a backyard grocery. And this is something that we would love to see every home be. You know, just like we're saying, support and go shop with Black farmers. If you have your backyard and you get your backyard popping, growing some good food, you'll be shopping with yourself. You know, and we need that. We need to be able to supplement at least a portion of our diet and produce a portion of our own food, if not, you know, all, but at least be able to produce something for ourselves in these days and times that we are in now, and to be prepared for what may come very soon in the future. So that all goes back. It always leads back to what we say every day. You know, Daily Bread Podcast. You know, if you really want to know something, what do the people need to do, bro?
If you really want to know something, support our own family and let's learn how to grow something.
There it is. It's B1AG, Daily Bread Podcast. I'm John Henry Harris. We have Farmer Brown EMC. Great discussion. Let's have a wonderful day. Let's have a productive day. And never stop growing. Never stop growing. Till next time, B1AG. We're out.